Hi everybody. Okay class, for those that are working on the Snowden cover map for your wildlife management, we're going to show you how to use GIS to make that cover map, but I'm not going to create the whole thing. I'm just going to show you a few editing tools that will be helpful. What better way to use GIS by using it on a real project? How to learn GIS by using it on a real project for another class. So here we go. We are going to create new shapefiles. One for the boundary of the lake and another one for your cover map. We're going to do the lake first, so you can use the water's edge as boundaries for your cover map. Now, I'm going to show you how to digitize or convert an analog image into a computer format. It's called digitizing. We're going to digitize the lake, and then we're going to make a copy of that lake to a shapefile called Covermap. The reason that we do that is the boundary of the lake is also used in your cover map. So why digitize that twice? Well, you don't want to. You want to be able to use that boundary. Okay? So here's how we do that. First, we digitize the lake boundary. So we need to create a new shapefile for the lake. So go over to your work area. In this case, I'm using my in catalog GIS data, Hocking College, Snowden. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to come down to new and come down to shapefile. I'm going to create a new shapefile called lake. And I'm going to make sure that it is a polygon shapefile. And I'm going to make the coordinate system the same that I have it set up in my project, and that is Ohio South State Plane. So I'm going to come to projected coordinate system, come down to State Plane, and I'm going to use the NAD83 HARN, in this case US feet, and I'm going to scroll down to Ohio South. You don't have to do this part, but it's really helpful for later on. So I hit OK, and then OK again to verify that I have that set. So over on the left in the table of contents, we now have a new shapefile called lake. Now it's time to digitize the lake. So I come over here to my edit toolbar. If you don't have an edit toolbar, you'll right click in a blank area and choose editor, and then it will show up. When you do have it, you go to editor and you start editing. You will choose the shapefile you just created, in this case lake, hit OK. The next screen will say that these items in your project, which you won't have, but in my case I do, these shapefiles don't have projection information. Well, that's okay because we're not dealing with those right now. So hit continue. Then come up to your edit drop down again and choose editing windows, because we need the create features window. In the create features window, you'll notice that lake shows up in our list. So we click lake, and then we come down to construction tools and choose polygon. Now our editing tools will work. Now we need to start digitizing our lake. All right. So you zoom into a location where you want to start. By habit, I always start in my lower left-hand corner. You don't have to, but I do. And I'm just going to digitize this little part of the lake for now, because I have already digitized the entire lake. But I'll show you that in here in a second. So we are pretending that we're digitizing the entire lake, and the process continues. It's exactly the same. So find the lower left hand corner, and you notice when I hover on this red line is actually part of the Hawking Technical College boundary. Okay, that is useful information, okay, because I want to be able to snap my new polygon to that location. So here I'm finding the water's edge, and I left click to start my digitizing. Notice I get a node, it's in red, and I get this rubber band line. All right, I go to the next location that I want to digitize, and I'm still kind of, in this case, I'm still following that red line. So I click my left mouse button, and now I have this rubber band triangle. All right, and my first point turned green, the current point is red. Now I'm going to digitize the lake with my left mouse button, and I'm just moving my mouse along the edge, and where I think that that's a good place to click, that's when I click. And I'm left clicking to go around the water's edge of the lake. And you can go fast, you can go slow, but you want to be as accurate as possible following the water's edge. Okay, the closer that you click, the tighter your boundaries will be. Okay, so I keep clicking, and I'm just left clicking as I'm going around the lake, and notice that my polygon continues to fill in as I'm going around. Okay, now I'm going to get to this point right here. Now let's go around this little edge right here. So I'm just left clicking. Now in the real world, I'd continue digitizing. I would use these sliders over here on my map, and I would move my image over so I can see more of my photograph as I'm going around. All right, so let's pretend I've gone around and now I'm coming back to finish the lake. Let's just cut across the lake here for a second. All right, now I'm continuing my digitizing, and it starts filling in my polygon to look a little better. And then I might use my, without doing anything, I'm just coming down to the arrow and scrolling. And let's say I get to one point prior to finishing my lake where I began. I left click, and then I hit right click and finish sketch. Then I come up to editor. I save my edits. Then I go to editor and stop editing. I'm going to zoom out, and notice I have a polygon over the water of the lake. You would finish the entire lake in this case, but I only did this little part to show you how easy it is to digitize a feature. All right, going around the entire lake probably take you maybe a half hour to an hour, depending on how accurate that you get it. And remember, cartography, you want it as accurate as possible. It took me about a half hour to do the lake. All right, and I have done the lake. I'm going to turn the lake layer off we just created. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to turn on the one that I did the entire lake. You want this boundary of the water. The reason that you want it is because you're going to use that boundary to create your polygons for your map cover, your cover map. So first, this lake layer, I'm going to just remove it just so it doesn't confuse us. And we're going to pretend that that lake is now this Lake Snowden shapefile. All right, we're going to use this shapefile, and we're going to copy it to a new shapefile to use for our cover map. We're going to right click it. We're going to come down to data. We're going to come over to export. and we are going to make sure that we're in our folder that we want to save it. In this case, my Snowden directory. I'm going to highlight the name and I'm going to rename that to Covermap, and then I'm going to hit OK. Yes, I want to add it to my project. That's what this window says. And now I have a shapefile called Covermap, and it's the exact same copy of Lake Snowden. Let's turn off Lake Snowden, and we'll turn that off, turn that on, so you can see that they're both the same. Okay? Alright, now we're going to edit Covermap by adding polygons outside of the water edge. But when we create polygons, we don't need to redigitize the water edge because we've already done it all the way around the lake. So we select Covermap, come over to our edit toolbar, select Start Editing. And yes, we want to select Covermap, hit OK. Don't worry about the projection stuff, that's not important. Just continue out of that. Now, in our Create Feature window, Covermap shows up. So we want to make sure that that's highlighted. Now, instead of doing polygon like we did before to create our lake, we want to do auto-complete polygon. And you'll see why here in a second. So select auto-complete polygon. Now we're going to zoom in to areas of our lake and we're going to create our Covermap zones. Alright, so we're going to zoom into here and we're just going to make a few polygons around the lake here. Alright, make sure that the straight segment tool is selected in the edit toolbar, and I'm going to come down to this point right here where this red line meets the water's edge. Remember when we created our lake that point was there. I mean, we created an intersection there. Well, now we have it. Now ArcMap will automatically, if you have the boundary of the property in this case, it will recognize other features that are in your project that will help you select a point to snap to. So I am getting ready to add a straight segment point, and I'm going to click my first vertice, and notice where I hover over that vertice, it says Covermap vertex. We want to snap to it, so we like that, so we left click it, and now we're snapped to that point. Then when I follow this red line, it comes to another intersection, but this intersection is part of the Hocking Technical College property shapefile, which is cool because I can left click it and it's sharing this red line from this layer with this layer. Okay, so we come back up and we come to this intersection up here, left click. Now we're going to follow this line, but we're going to stop short. Okay, we're going to stop short because let's say this polygon comes down and then ends right here at this corner of the lake. So we're going to come down here and we're going to find a spot that we think represents where that boundary is, and we're going to click, and then we're going to cut across these trees and go to the water's edge, and notice that it says right here Covermap vertex. You click that, and then next step is we want to finish the polygon. We started here down in this lower left, went around clockwise, and we ended at this water. But we don't want to have to redigitize around the water's edge because we've already done it once. So when you click on this vertice, double click, and it closes the polygon automatically. Okay, that's what auto-complete polygon means. Now we can come up to our editor, save edit, and then we can use these scroll buttons to move over, because we want to add another polygon right here. All right, so this is going to be shared now because it's already been digitized for this polygon, and the water's edge has already been digitized. So we're still in edit mode, we're still in autocomplete poly, and we're going to come up to this corner where it says Covermap Vertex right up here, and we're going to left click. And then we're going to come, let's say we come right to this corner of the Hocking Technical College property, and we're going to click here. But let's say our polygon actually kind of cuts across these trees. I don't know what your zones look like, but let's pretend it does this, and it gets to this little triangle corner. We're going to click where it snaps there, and then we're going to double click again. Now we have another polygon. So we have a polygon here and a polygon here, and we have our lake. All right, so let's continue around a little bit more. Let's say this zone right here goes from this corner to this edge of the water up here, right here. So we're still in edit mode, so I can click this corner, and let's say it comes up like this around this little grove of trees that I see, kind of a line here, and it kind of comes back. And then we come to this corner, click here, which is snapping to the water edge, and then double click again. And it creates a new polygon. All right, we can zoom in, zoom out. All right, so we can use our little scroll buttons and center that a little bit more. Now I've made a couple edits, but I haven't saved them, so it's a good idea to save edits periodically so you don't lose your changes. All right, so let's say that this polygon, this next cover area is this peninsula off of the lake, and it comes up, and it kind of, where this field is right here, let's say it kind of intersects right here on the property line. All right, so what we're going to do is, we don't need to redigitize this line because it's part of this polygon, and we don't need to digitize this water edge around here. We can actually come to this point, this intersection, and follow our property line up, and then cut across until we hit the water's edge again. All right, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to hover my mouse at this intersection right here, and I'm going to click, and then I'm going to follow this red line up. Since I still have that Hocking Technical College property showing up, all right, I can stay on that line. As long as that says that, I'm following that line, and we're going to come up to this point, and I'm going to just say, yeah, this is where this field starts. Notice this little trail that comes across here in the photo. We can use that as a boundary. So I can come up here and click. All right, so we had our point of beginning down here, and I followed that line up, and then I'm going to cut across this path, which looks like a path to me, using photo interpretation, and we're just going to kind of come across until we reach the water's edge again. Click once to snap it to that point, and then double click to close the polygon, and it automatically fills it in based on these boundaries. All right, so we'll zoom out again, and we'll create one more polygon. We're going to do this part over here. We're going to do two more polygons. We're going to go around this grove of trees, and then what's left of this peninsula, we're going to go from this corner to over here. So let's do these trees first. Okay, I've made a change, so let's save our edits so we don't lose them. We're going to zoom into these trees using your scroll wheel on your mouse. And here we can get close down here somewhere, follow the trees along this area, and then kind of cut back and maybe find a place to close it in at the water's edge. All right, so I'm going to come down to, let's say we have this little sliver right here. We're going to snap to this, left click, and then we're going to follow these trees. Okay, we got a bare area here, but we're going to call that part of the coverage zone. We could have gone around that, but let's say we're going to go around these trees. These look like a different species than all these other trees. So we're going to find, now we need to find a place you could come around and actually end almost at the same spot, and this clear area along the lake could be something totally different. But we're going to end at this intersection of the water's edge. So I'm going to click here and then double click again to close that polygon. So we get this water edge as part of this polygon. You see what I'm saying? All right, so let's zoom out. We've made a change, so it's a good idea to save edits. All right, and then we're going to use our scroll bar and kind of scroll up a little bit. Now, I'm going to use this area as a new zone. Okay, so wait a minute. I see something that looks a little goofy. I see these little lines here, so this means that this is planted trees because they're nice straight lines. Let's see. Let's click here and let's make a polygon around this area here like this. Now, just like our first polygon we're creating our lake, now I don't have any shared boundaries. So I'm at my last vertex and I can double click. Oops, I'm sorry. My bad. Let's try this again. Let's come around here and we're creating a polygon all by itself out in here in the middle. And I get to my last vertex, I right click and I finish sketch. That doesn't work either. Okay, that's not a problem. So we want to say, well, we're not going to create this polygon right now. So let's just close in this whole peninsula by coming down here, clicking this corner, come up to this corner, and then find the water's edge, click once, and then double click, and that closes that polygon. All right. Now, creating a polygon inside of a polygon is a little more advanced right now. We're not going to talk about it right this second, but we're just creating polygons around the water's edge. All right, that's all we're doing. All right, so now we have that last polygon edited. We're going to go to edit, save our edits, and zoom out. Okay, now we're still in edit mode, but now we're going to stop. Let's pretend that we've gone around the entire lake and created all of our cover map zones. Okay, let's go to edit, stop edit. We've already saved our changes, so it's not going to ask. Now, let's say you did this in one setting for a day, and you come back the next day and you want to add more polygons. All right, so you save your project, and then you come back the next day and you open that project and you still see cover map. We're not in edit mode, but you want to add some more polygons. All right, all you need to do is go to the editor, start editing, choose the layer that you're going to edit, click OK. Don't worry about the projection information, and then you are in edit mode again. So here's cover map in our create features window. If create features window is not there, you drop down on the editor, go to edit windows, click create features, and this window will show up again. So click cover map, come down to auto complete again, and then zoom in to the area that you want to add your new polygon, and basically start like we did before. Let's say this is day 2. All right, so I'm going to click this corner, I'm going to zoom out, I'm going to zoom in, zoom out, whatever, and I'm going to follow this boundary again. As long as that little tag that says Hawking Technical College in my case is highlighted, that means I'm following that line exactly. And I click this corner and I come up to this corner. All right, let's say that it cuts across, straight across to the water's edge. We'll click here and then double click. All right, now we have a new polygon. Now we're going to zoom out And what we're going to do is we're going to go around a grove of trees, create a polygon inside of another polygon. All right, so how we do that, let's say we come over here and we're going to map this area, and we see this little open area, and we want to make this a polygon. All right, so come down to Edit Tools, and remember we were on autocomplete. Now I want you to come up and go to Polygon, select Polygon, and digitize around this clearing area. Your cover area might be different, but I'm just giving you examples. All right, so I'm going to come around this open area, and then I'm going to double click. Now I have this polygon all by itself. It's not touching the water's edge. But let's say that there is a polygon that goes around that polygon. Let's say it goes from this corner all the way around, touches the water edge. So we're going to start at this water edge, come here, come up, over, and then go around and end over here. So you're going to be auto closing, so you're going to come around this polygon. Right? You want the water's edge, so come down to where it says autocomplete again, and find the water's edge, which is right here. Click, come over here, follow this boundary or whatever you want to do until you reach where you want to come up to. Click, and then follow that, click there, and let's say it cuts across here. All right, let's say it cuts across, comes down this little gully and goes to the water's edge, which is right here. Double click. Now you have a polygon. So let's save edits. Now let's stop editing. Okay. Now if I do an identify, notice that it only created a polygon around our island polygon. Okay. And when I identify this polygon, it's inside. So how I created this internal polygon was I create the internal polygon first. In my edit tools, I went from autocomplete and went up and selected polygon. Okay, autocomplete has to have some edge that's already there. Polygon does not have to have, actually polygon cannot have an edge that's already been created. All right, so you use the autocomplete to do something that you're using an edge already, and you use polygon to have a polygon that doesn't have a shared border. Okay, now one more thing. Once you get all of your zones mapped around the lake, you no longer need the lake. Okay, you can use the lake, but you don't have to have it. Well, how we get rid of the lake is we go to edit, start editing, select our cover map, hit OK, continue on the projection stuff. We are in edit mode. Make sure cover map is selected. Now we're going to get rid of the lake, but we're going to keep our cover zones, right? So this tool right here next to the editor is your edit tool. Make sure that that's highlighted. Come inside your lake, select your lake. Now that polygon for the lake is selected. And if I right click and I hit delete, the lake itself is gone, but all those polygons you created around the edge are there. And so you can use this information so you don't have to have that lake polygon in there. All right, and then you save your edits, stop editing. Now don't delete your lake until you have all your zones around your lake. Okay, because then you would have to redigitize that boundary of the lake. So the very last thing that you can do after creating all your cover zones is you can delete the lake. Okay, So we have it all created. Let's say we went all the way around the lake and we've deleted our lake. All right, so that's not information that we need for our cover map. But cartographically, you can still have your lake because you've created it in another shapefile, just like that. Okay? We'll talk about this project a little bit more, so I hope this gets you going on creating polygons. I know this is long, but you need this information if you want to do it this way. All right, so we'll talk to you later. See ya.